An award-winning actor, our next guest needs no introduction, of course. You know him for his classic roles on both stage and screen, but you may not know that he once aspired to be a concert pianist. It was in creating the role of Raymond Babbitt, an autistic savant in the 1988 film Rain Man, that he came to know the complexities of neurological problems and the work of Dr. Oliver Sacks. And so we are particularly pleased and honored to welcome the one, the only, Dustin Hoffman to present tonight's award.
Good evening to you all. Good evening, Dr. Sacks. I think Dr. Sacks knows something, that by learning to understand special people, and they are special, we learn more about ourselves. And when we refer to these people simply as mentally ill, it moves us further away from them. Years ago, when my mother suffered a stroke, I was able to meet with the head of neurology at her hospital, and at some point the doctor and I became friends, and during one of our conversations we discussed the extraordinary advances that had been made in medicine, heart transplants, skin grafts, limb replacements. And I looked at him and I said, "What about the brain?" thinking there might be something there for my mom. My doctor friend said, "Oh, well, there's been a revolution recently in brain studies." And I said, "Really? Tell me." And he said, "Well, we've just come to the conclusion that after all these years, we don't know dick about the brain." That was years ago, and I'm sure that 27 years later, things have improved, and now we do know dick about the brain. I met Dr. Sacks after someone told me to read The Man Who Mistook His Wife for a Hat. Thank you, Dr. Sacks, for agreeing to meet with me. I mentioned to Dr. Sacks that I'd seen a 60-minute segment about a man who was autistic, high-functioning, and seemed to possess savant-like abilities. I'd been doing research for Rain Man, and I needed help. Dr. Sacks showed me some film of twin brothers who he had been treating. In the film, Dr. Sacks was lighting his pipe at one point as he was interviewing them, and he happened to drop a box of stick matches on the floor. And I saw this. And immediately one brother exclaimed, 54. While simultaneously his brother said, 18, 18, 18. He saw it in thirds. "So the brains are like a computer, right?" I said. "I don't think so," said Dr. Sacks. "Their brains are faster than a computer." I said, "Well, how can that be?" Dr. Sacks said, "Because they don't compute it. They simply see it." I was confused. Dr. Sacks moved to a blackboard, took chalk in hand, I'll have this memory for the rest of my life, and drew one line. He said, "How much is that?" I said, 1. He drew another and pointed, and I said, 2, and another, 3, and another, 4. He looked at me and he said, "But you're not counting, are you?" I said, "No." He said, "Then how do you know there's 4? I smiled and I said, "Because I see it." And at that point, Dr. Sacks, right in front of me, kept making strokes. So there was no more space on the blackboard, and he looked at me and said something I'll never forget. "We don't know how they do it, but they see the amount of those strokes you are looking at the way you see 4. They don't count it. They see it." In that visit, I remember mentioning a letter that Mozart had written to his brother from a book I had read, and in the letter he recalled that the night before, while walking home after having had a wonderful meal at his friend's house, a melody simply came into Mozart's head. As he walked, the melody grew from one instrument to several instruments, from a melody to a concerto. Mozart confided to his brother that there had been no effort, that it was simply like a visitation. It just came in. He complained that the effort took place only after he arrived home and he had to laboriously set it on paper. We drifted back to thoughts on autism. I said that a few of the autistic people I met seemed to record almost everything. I was told that they could recall what you wore when they last saw you, be it 5, 10 years ago. Dr. Sacks said, "You know, you and I see a lot of stuff. We record it briefly, and the next morning we have wiped out a great deal of the so-called recording. But these people, I guess, don't have the vacuum cleaners in their brains that we have. So imagine the tons of information recorded every day by them, much of it trivia, that refuse to leave them. And then his face took on a childlike wonder, and he said, imagine what that must feel like. What that must feel like may be the revolution that Dr. Sachs has brought about. To go beyond the search for a cure, to go beyond the labeling of the condition, to go beyond, in order to try to find, more importantly, an entrance into their world and to feel and see, if only briefly, like they do. In other words, no judgments, no assumptions, no intellectual arrogance. As if Dr. Sachs is saying, all of us are the same. Some of us just perceive the world a little differently. And what separates the special people from the rest of us is their gifts and their pain. As we shook hands, Dr. Sachs says, you might want to read Temple Grandin's book. She's an autistic person who wrote her own autobiography. I did. I read it. In it, she said words to the effect, quote, when I was little, I wanted my parents more than anything to hold me, just put their arms around me and hold me and squeeze me. And when they did, I couldn't bear it. I wanted to scream. Dr. Sachs explained the why to me. He said, it's not just the holding. It's even an inability to make eye contact. Maybe the emotion is too powerful, a feeling for them, that they can't take it, that they're more sensitive than we are in some way. They can't bear it. And then it hit me. Are we not, all of us, uncomfortable at times when strong sentiments come our way? When someone says, gee, you look beautiful today. Or, you know, you really look handsome. Or, do you know how special you are? And under the heading of embarrassment, do we not break eye contact sometimes, look away, and for that one moment become a bit autistic? Is it that our soul at that moment is simply exposed, too naked, too powerful a feeling for us? Dr. Sachs has found the soul in special people and has shown it to the rest of us. It is their soul that now takes center stage because of him, and not their illness. That's revolutionary. That's music. It is Dr. Sachs's soul that is being celebrated here tonight, his profound humanity. So, at the risk of your looking away, Dr. Sachs, may I not only have the honor of presenting you with this award, but also give you at this moment from all of us a collective hug and a kiss. God bless you, sir, and congratulations.
For 40 years of dedication to the patients of Beth Abraham Health Services,